And welcome to the first episode of the True Patriot Podcast. GC Fishing LLC bringing you this here, brought to you by, of course, True Patriot Outfitters. The one online store where you can buy things at the same price you normally would, but know that a percentage of that sale is going to our veteran support services to help us with the guided fishing trips, keep your truck on the road, get some equipment in their hands, little care packages, things of that nature. True Patriot Outfitters will be dropping in the next few weeks here. We'll be getting that up online. Going to be going big for 2022. Dude, we are super stoked trying to get this up. We're going to be, obviously this podcast is going to be evolving as we go. This vlog, podcast, whatever you want to call it. We're going to evolve this thing. We're going to let things kind of just grow organically, if you will. We do have some big name contacts in the industry that we're going to try to pull on to say, hey, can we interview you and talk about certain topics? Entertain and educate, man. That's going to be the whole name of this game. That's what we're going to be trying to shoot for here. You're here in my office with me here. This is where a lot of especially the off season, if you will. This is where a lot of the war room takes place. A lot of our planning. We have two distinct sides to our business, man. We got the fishing competitive side, and then we have the veteran support services, the work we do with our nonprofit partners. Those things, that's the lion's share of how this whole thing lays out. We've got some visuals and some graphics we'll put together later down the line, little segments we can do with that. But nevertheless, we want to make sure this podcast kind of covers it all, right? We're gonna be doing, like I said, some interviews with some big names. I'm gonna introduce you to some people you need to know. Maybe you didn't, but you should. We're gonna introduce you to those folks there, and then I'm gonna introduce you to maybe some of the nonprofit partners that we work with, and you'll understand then why we say the things we say about why their services are so vital. You'll understand the importance piece to it. I'm confident in that once you see them firsthand. And, of course, introduce you to some of these veterans, these warriors, these heroes. That's a huge part, man. That is that I've made some lifelong friends now, and their information, testimonials, their response to the services that we provide, dude, it is just an ignition point for us. You know what I mean? It lights the fires inside and makes us keep rolling, man. That's the whole reason. We're gonna have a lot of different segments we're gonna cover. We'll have current news. We'll have we'll talk about some of the news that's out there. Breakdown. We do a ton of article research every day, so we'll try to share some of those articles where we found the information. But nevertheless, we try to research this stuff, go down the rabbit hole a little bit further, and find out where a lot of this information is coming from, and then try to validate some of that, if you will. Other sections that we'll get into, we'll have our supporter spotlights. We'll have our nonprofit partner spotlights. We'll be doing angler health segment. We'll talk about a lot of this stuff. For those of you unaware on the tournament side of things, especially when you're on the road, man, your nutrition, your routine, keeping your body healthy. It's a big deal. It all leads to solid decision making on the mental side, and if you don't have that, you're behind the eight ball from those guys that are taking care of it. PSAs, public service announcements. We got some cool contacts out there with this. We'll hopefully have some of those guys on as guests with the podcast, and we'll talk about some of these things. We'll put this whole piece together, man. Well, like I said, we're just going to evolve this thing and let it keep rolling. So, without further ado, let's pay the bills here real quick. Paying the bills to this point, sponsors that have made this all possible to get you where we're at today, so that we can bring this stuff to you guys out there. I'm wearing two of the ones that have been with me from day one, and that is they're all under the same umbrella now, but nevertheless, Blackfish Outdoor Gear. If you've not had a chance to see the Blackfish line of apparel, outdoor all-weather gear, they have a huge selection, and it is premium. There's no doubt about it. When comfort, when performance, quality, and those things matter, which they do in my world on the competitive side, you go with what you trust. I don't ever think twice about my Blackfish gear when I'm out there. When it comes to my rain suit, when it comes to my glass, my gaiters, my gloves, you name it, man. This is stuff I trust in every time I'm out. And Blackfish has always been there. All-terrain tackle, bass jigs specialist, and some terminal tackle piece that they offer. One of the most effective search baits, in my personal opinion, is hands down the swim jig. The swim jig to me is one of the most versatile pieces, and when I'm trying to figure out a body of water, there's few baits that I'll grab more when I'm just trying to get some feedback, right? Of what's going on in a given area than a swim jig. Swim jigs year round. It's all about presentation, where you're putting them, how you're retrieving them, how you're working them. You can get some of that feedback that you're looking for. And then, of course, their Grassmaster jigs. That's what first introduced me many, many years ago. That's what I first got introduced to all-terrain tackle. Was I wanted a faster way to punch through some big, thick weeds without needing to completely re-rig some things. And so I was looking for that speed piece, and the Grassmaster jig turned out to just be money, dog. I'm telling you right now. That was one of the pieces there. So the thing about that I just want you to understand about all-terrain blackfish is that it was the products that attracted me to them, but then it was the people in the company and their way of handling business that kept me with them. And that's when I knew I needed to be a part of this. And so we did. And we've been with them for a lot of years. They've made a lot of cool things happen for us out there and made it possible for us to keep going. And we're looking to expand on that in the future and get more involved with these organizations. So if you've not had a chance, go check them out. All-Terrain Tackle and Blackfish Outdoor Gear. All right. So that being said here, let's go into some current news. All right, let's see what we have here. In the past, we're going to try to cover some current stuff here. I would say one of the biggest pieces of news that came out in the last 30 days had to be, and it's kind of on a somber note, but it's worth celebrating to talk about, and that would be the passing of the late great Aaron Martens. A-Mart, as he was affectionately known, or the Furious Hog Snatcher. West Coast angler, really revolutionized, a lot of techniques and an approach to bass fishing. Dude had amazing success at any level he ever fished at, all right? But it wasn't so much the results that was the most impressive about A-Mart. It was the process, how he did it. I coached for a lot of years. One of the things that I always used to teach my young athletes was what you do matters, but how you do it matters even more. A-Mart, I think, was a fantastic example of that philosophy. And that is world-class, legendary, one of the greatest to ever do it angler. But more importantly, world-class, one of the greatest to ever do it human being. If you look at the outpouring of support and you hear the stories, the Aaron Martin stories over the last, umpteen years, Aaron touched more people's soul and mind just with his kindness, his generosity, his information sharing, and just who he was as a person. Beautiful family, hearts are broken for them, for their loss. All positive thoughts we can send their way absolutely are going that way. But so many people that he influenced, and that he will continue to influence. I think that's the biggest piece here, that for those of us who didn't have the opportunity to meet him, like myself, I'd never met him firsthand. I did a ton of research on him though, and really followed his career a ton and tried to learn what I could, take the good pieces from him, from his career and the smart way he handled certain things. But, understanding the legacy that this man has left behind, it's, and keep in mind, man, he was really young. This was a brain cancer that finally took over at the end there. But he was 49 years old. Dude, that strikes pretty close to home. Same age, we were born the same year in 72. And that's just a stark reminder, dude, that you are not guaranteed anything. Okay, and take care of those around you. Be kind to those people around you. And it's okay. Like I said before, it's okay that we don't always have to agree, but we can absolutely be respectful and try to make a difference out there. You know what I mean? And that's exactly, I think, what Aaron Martens for sure did to the entire bass fishing industry and anybody that he came in contact with. Mr. Martens, you will forever be missed, but you will also forever never be forgotten. All right, and switching gears here to some other news that went down. Now, that Bass Pro Shop U.S. Open Amateur Team Trail Championship, that took place. If you guys hadn't been following that, that was across the entire nation, dude. They held that deal. There were multiple ways to get in, a lot of different teams. It was all set up on amateur. You had your qualifying piece. One of the big qualifying deals was you had to have a Nitro, Ranger, Triton. One of the brands Bass Pro Shops work. Say what you will, have opinions, this or that, on Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops, Dude, these guys, this company, there's nobody out there has contributed as much financially, of course, and in press piece, and just the amount of attention they've brought to our sport, to conservation in these areas. It's phenomenal. Without them, we would not be where we're at. There is just no way around that. You can think otherwise all you want for whatever purpose, but the proof is in the pudding, dog. I mean, it is there. The guys that picked this victory off here, Logan Parks and Tucker Smith out of Shoal Creek, Alabama, according to Wire to Fish article that we saw. They banked a serious payday amongst some serious money that they banked in this thing. They're also going to walk away with a pair of Toyota Tundras with some Nitro Z21s in tow. These young men are now on a pathway. If they would choose to make this a livelihood, they've got their way in for sure. There were 3 ways to qualify for this thing, and hopefully we see this again next year. 3 ways. They had the national qualifiers, they had the boat dealer team trails that were out there, and then the collegiate tournaments. Like 350 teams competing for over $1 million in cash and prizes. That's just ridiculous. And to boot with this thing, dude, the money they donated at the end of this thing to conservation was just huge. And I know that can sometimes be a 4-letter word here. I don't want to get too far off the beaten path on conservation just yet. But dude, without it, our sport is doomed. We have to pay attention to it and start taking active pieces. And this is a huge process, huge piece in that process. Thing I wanted to point out about, the thing I really loved about these qualifiers that were all over the U.S. Dude, they were up north, down south, in the Midwest, center, east, and even out west, which that's going to be a topic of coming up here. We're going to talk to some West Coast guys and try to figure this out on why the West continues to get snubbed. It's some tough fishing, there's no doubt about it, but there are some awesome hooks there coming out of the West. And that was awesome to see them go out to Lake Havasu out there and host a qualifying to get the West Coast guys to get a shot to get in there. So yeah, man, it was pretty impressive. Again, Logan Parks, Tucker Smith snatching up the win. Pretty impressive. Hats off Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops. All right, staying in the bass news here, another huge one that just took place. If you've followed along the kayak bass fishing trail, the Hobie Bass 2021 U.S. Open Kayak Bass Fishing Champion was none other than Kristen Fischer. Dog, if you have not followed this angler's career yet, you are missing out. I am hoping, crossing our fingers, we get an opportunity to interview this angler, get her on the show here and talk with her a little bit about the process she goes through. Kristen is no stranger to winning, dude. Check her resume out. She flat out catches fish anywhere in the country she goes from that Hobie kayak that she's running. And she catches big fish. I mean, that's the thing. she is dialed in. She's figuring things out for sure. And dude, she is getting her hustle on. She is working her tail off. She truly loves the outdoors. She has a passion for fishing. She loves muskie hunting, and it's in her blood, man. It's the way she was raised. She's out in Nebraska. I've read a few articles on this championship that unfolded there. And dude, here's a couple things about this whole deal. So leading up to this championship, which was on Lake Eufaula in Eufaula, Alabama, For those of you unaware, this place, competes for that big bass capital of the U.S. They can turn some big fish out of this place, and that's saying a lot considering they're going up against, Florida, Texas, California for that title. Some of the lakes out there, but Eufaula is legendary. Coming into this event, Kristen had never fished on Eufaula at all, ever, according to one article that we read out there. Bro, that is impressive stuff. Lightning in a bottle, and it happened because of her hard work, her dedication, and her willingness to go out there and do the things other guys wouldn't. When it comes to that type of work and decision making, it all came together in a perfect storm for her. Going into a new body of water, dude, is in and of itself, I don't care what level you're fishing at, that is tough business, okay, to compete against those folks that know those waters. You're already behind the 8 ball. So the fact that she could go in there and do that in a championship stage and get on fish all 3 days. And that's what it takes, man. She got on fish. She stayed on them. She made the right decisions of where to move, when to move. And according to the article that I read there, Kristen had went to new waters each and every day. She went to new sections that she had not seen before. And just kept the head grinding, kept her head down, kept grinding, and just put things together. Like I said, if you've not seen this English career before, dude, she just straight up flat catches them. And turned in a pretty hefty payday. The kayak bass fishing, dude, it's here to stay. It's coming on. I know, a lot of times our sport is kind of rooted in the good old boys network out there, and sometimes kayak competition was looked at more hobby than anything. Dude, $35,000 payday, there ain't no hobby to that. These are world-class anglers that are out there that are making some amazing trips around the country. It's a great way for people to get into competition. And obviously cost of ownership is much lower, which just opens the door to more folks. I hate seeing things that have, the socioeconomic barriers in place for them or put people in, strained situations, if you will, to get in to compete. So this is just awesome, man. And the more kayak bass fishing tournaments we see out there, it's just continuing to pick up. If you followed any of these anglers online, you'll see they are world-class anglers, and they deserve your attention to pay attention to what they're doing, man. You can, I guarantee you're going to learn something from them. And again, we're hoping to have Miss Fischer on the show here and get a chance to speak with her and learn more about her and how she goes about going out there and just whooping on the field. And on to the final article for this first episode here of Current News. This is one that's kind of is in the news and current article, but it's also kind of in our Let's Talk About It section here, because I'm going to throw some opinion at this. I just, before we get in deep with this piece here, a lot of people have talked about it. A lot of those people associated around this whole situation have made some statements. Of course, the social media trolls came out from underneath all their bridges and unleashed this and that. If there's something that you will learn over the course of time here is, number one, I don't use social media for sources, if you will, of information without stating it, that according to what I've seen out there, when it comes to fact and when I'm going to make a decision on something, it's going to come from someplace other than social media, meaning these things are meant for business, they're entertainment, and they're good information source gatherers when it comes to the fishing side of things. But dude, if you're looking for real news and real fact, that's not the place you should be going. If you're one of those folks that relies on that, I'm sorry. Topic we're talking about here is, if you've not followed along, the National Professional Fishing League, the NPFL, canceled its biggest event of the year, the championship. And they did so in a pretty abrupt, quick fashion. Nobody really saw it coming, for the most part. And at least, not many people saw it coming. And it happened just kind of almost what felt like kind of overnight. And then it was just brushed away. And hey, by the way, 2022 looks great. And on we're going. So here's what we know to this point. The landscape is such. There are two major professional national circuits. You have the MLF, and you have bass. Okay, and that's it. In the wake of the creation of MLF and the acquisition of FLW, that merger that took place there, it created just a wake of things that took place up there and opened doors and opportunities. While it may have closed out a couple areas, it opened probably more opportunities than it did anything, this whole shakeup to the bass fishing industry. One of the things that came out of this was another national professional circuit, and that is the NPFL. They sprung up, and this was their first year in full competition, in full swing. Transparency was a big piece of at their core values, being for the anglers, for the families. This is at their core values as reported from their site. And from all the feedback leading up through this year was just positive. Everything looked like it was on its way there. Now, I'm a huge supporter of the MLF. I'll save that conversation for a later date. Love what's going on there. It's where we choose to fish on the Big Five circuits. That's where we compete. But I will say is that I was really, really hoping, as a customer, I was really hoping that the NPFL was going to really assert itself in the professional field and create that, that third, that field of professional competition options that are out there. At the end of the day, for a lot of people, fishing for a living, competitive fishing for a living is the goal. Just doing that is your final source of, is the means to being your source of income, us included. And how you choose to do that, having more options out there, that's just a great thing. Anglers and fans are customers. Okay, that's something that I want that to be truly understood from a business side of things. Anglers and fans are customers. Okay. And that is what these leagues need to get a hold of. I think one of them really understands it. Another one is coming around to understanding that. And I was really hoping the NPFL grasped the hold of that. Now, I don't know. No one really seems to know, at least in the open, what took place. Because here is directly from, this is their press release to the issue. Championship event scheduled for November has been canceled. What I just told you about it is more than what that article says. That article basically just says, hey, this no entry fee championship, Durka is canceled, man. It's done. Okay. Why? What the hell happened here? Listen, here's the opinion piece that we're going to kick to this. Now, I get it. I've read through the social media stuff. I've seen the negative. I've seen the positive. I've seen some truth. I've seen some, assumptions being thrown around. I don't care about all that. All I want to talk to you about, if somebody from the NPFL ever does happen to see this, is this. If you truly are transparent, if you truly are concerned about your customer and about building for the future, dog, you absolutely owe an explanation. A quick article. This is what happened. This is what we've done to cure this for the future. And here's what the future looks like. Dude, it's that simple. Okay? People in this industry will be understanding to that. There's no question. Will all of them? Well, of course not. But you can't operate from that piece. The fact of the matter is there is a lot of love for the NPFL. There's a lot of people that want it to succeed. Inside and outside the industry. You know what I mean? And that's a must. And so if you're going to do that, you got to do some damage control, dude. I'm telling you right now, that little article thrown out there, that's not damage control. At the end of the day, that looks shady. I don't care how you paint it. It's cloak and dagger. It's, this or that. What happened and what are you doing to fix that so that it doesn't happen again? Because right now, you're letting the rumor mill build. And there's no way to defend that, okay? Because without there being an actual statement coming from the NPFL themselves, people are left to their own devices, dude. And you know what happens with that? We have a tendency as human beings, and especially in America, where the first idea that comes to our head that makes the cleanest, quickest sense, well, that's got to be the truth. That's got to be. That's why we put labels on things. That's why we label so many different people and groups out there, because a label gives us something, a way to classify it. That's how they're going to approach the NPFL. And right now, they have every reason to. The public does, your customers do. As a potential future angler, myself, as a customer, I'm never going to get by this. Dude, I mean, I was on this upward slope here, positive. Hey, this is looking good. Maybe these guys are going to do something with this. Well, look at this. Boom. Now I'm here. What the hell happened? You canceled the championship out of nowhere. Now, I know you made it right with many of the anglers, but you haven't made it right with all of your customers yet. And so in order to get back up there, we need to know, what happened, what have you done to fix it, or we're going to be left our own thought that, hey, that happened and it could happen again, because who knows? And then we're going to be the dumb ones who invested our time, energy, and monies in that because we didn't pay attention to the proof that was in front of us. Dude, I'm just saying, if you're truly there for transparency, if you're truly there for your customers, do what's right. Do what you need to get done out there, and that is talk to us, man. Throw an article out that's a little bit bigger than that thing right there. All right, so we're going to switch gears here, and a couple little quick segments here, and this is going to wrap up episode 1, man. We think this will be probably a pretty good point here to kind of bring it all together, and we'll see how things go. Please, like I said before, drop comments here in the bottom. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us feedback, man. Like I said, I'll take it all. Any constructive feedback, we'll take it, and we're going to just try to build this thing and turn it into something that's worth the watch. So, having said that, one of the things that I want to do here, we talked about paying the bills earlier. One of the guy over at All Terrain Tackle that keeps all us pro staff in line, he makes everything possible for us, gets us the information that we need, Matt Johnson. He put a great video together on one of my favorite jigs from All Terrain Tackle. I want you to take a watch and check out this video real quick here. I think you're going to like it. There's a nice one.
Matt Johnson with All Terrain here. You know what? If you're looking for a good all-purpose jig, try that finesse jig. Everyone's throwing that rattling AT. It catches piles of fish. This is a condensed version of that in 3/8 ounce and 1/4 ounce. It's got a shorter weed guard for easier hookups, less of the silicone skirting to give it a smaller profile, and a larger, skinnier profiled hook so you can have easier hookups. I love this bait on 14 or 17 pound fluorocarbon. The fish set themselves. You put that creature bait on the back, you got a good 1-2 punch. Another reason I love this bait is for anglers that are just getting into the sport, whether as a fishing guide or novice angler, you can put this jig on a spinning rod. So you can get 20-pound braid, tie a fluorocarbon leader on that for kids, for newbies that are getting out there just enjoying the sport for the first time, and they can flip a jig to catch fish. So that finesse jig from All Terrain, if you haven't tried it, tie one on, it catches a lot of fish.
Dude, that finesse jig is the bomb. It is one of the most versatile, all-around, just fish-catching machines out there. Go check it out, allterraintackle.com. Get you some of those as soon as you can. All right, and the final piece here that we have, our final segment, is a little product review that we wanted to do. As I said, this last season I had an opportunity to use, really start to make my transfer over to all tungsten. One of the environmental conservation tips out there is that's been going around through fishing and hunting is getting the lead out. The lead we know for sure is toxic. What it does to the environment as it sits there, any of the weights that we use, the more that we can stop using lead and finding alternatives. But the trick's always been, what do you find that's an alternative, number one, that's readily available, number two, that isn't going to break the bank. For those of us that fish tournaments out there, we don't just buy usually in onesie-twosies, we're buying in bulk. And so, man, this stuff gets expensive in a hurry. And that's been the biggest issue with the solution that's been provided to most of anglers out there, which is tungsten weights. Around every corner, it seems like there's a tungsten deal popping up left or right. And I've used a wide range out there. This season, we were keeping in true with that, trying another one out there. One of the things that brought me to these guys, I'm not going to lie, is the fact that they were better priced than just about anybody that I found out there. Matter of fact, anyone that I found, not just about. And so, of course, the skeptic in me started popping up, and I wanted to check them out. Nako Tungsten. That was basically the company that I wanted to take a look at. So I did. And I got to tell you, man, I was blown away. I was completely blown away with the quality piece with these guys. If there was a chink in the armor, I would say it would be that it takes a little bit to get them. Just post-COVID world fishing tackle, it takes a little bit to get them. But the beauty is, the thing that impressed me is that the moment I ordered, I got confirmation they received my order, they're working on it, and they updated rapidly. The slowdown in the process here wasn't the availability of the product. It was just simply the shipping of how long things are taking nowadays. So, in an effort to kind of fix that, we decided, what would be awesome is if they had another dealer over here that could actually stock some. So that's what we're doing, man. We're True Patriot Outfitters is going to be a dealer. We'll have an inventory of Nako weights online that we'll be able to sell to you. Get you some of these bad boys that come in 10 packs. Super good stuff. Did a little review of them, give you a little bit closer look. I apologize for some of the focusing, but take a look at the review here real quick. Okay, so as I said, this entire season, man, the quality of the Nako baits just blew me out of the water when you look at the craftsmanship on each one of these. First thing I want to point out on the Nako line, when you buy our Nako Tungsten, you're getting a 10-pack in most cases. We do have the option for smaller, but the majority that we sell are 10 packs. So you're actually getting a good amount of weights at an unbelievable price. You're not going to find a per weight price better than Nako out there, and so much we believe in that. So much Nako is throwing out a price guarantee. If you find it online through a legitimate retailer at a cheaper price, they'll match it and beat it by 10%. They're that convinced that their pricing is that much more superior. And of course, anytime you get those kind of price guarantees like that, it makes you start wondering about the quality. At least it did for me. That's what blew me out of the water. That's why we are now a dealer for Nako. The worm weights here. A couple of the key features here that I really liked about the worm weights. Having a little trouble with my focus, so I do apologize. But what you're seeing right there is a clearly stamped, it's the weight size. Time's money on the water, man. Having the weight size stamped on there is a huge saver for me. It just takes the guesswork right out of it. I know what size I'm pulling out of my gearbox and going with there. But a couple of the pieces here, the quality you can see from the insides, there's zero burrs, no hitches or imperfections here. They are insert free and completely polished through the inside there, so you're not going to get line getting hung up on there, or getting cut or nicked where you can't see it. A couple of other things that I really liked about the worm weight, so much that I even pitch and flip with this. I know that we have a pitching and a flipping weight out there. A lot of guys like using that more narrowed tipped and fat bodied one. I use this one right here for both, because one of the things about Nako, if you want to use some presentations, you'll throw like a glass bead or something on there. The seat on the tungsten weight from Nako here is so ergonomically designed that glass bead fits in there just absolutely perfect, and you get a good solid point that's not creating any extra friction whatsoever. The other thing that I really like about this is when tied up and when I peg this, the hook fits perfectly here, and that knot is protected on the inside there. So right where the eyelid of the hook goes in there, it gets protected in that little seat from there. Me personally, that's just a couple of the things about the worm weight that I really enjoyed about the Nako line. Of course, the tungsten fact of just so much more sensitive. You can start to learn what gravel feels like when you bump into some shrubs, or you start dragging through mud. You'll be able to feel that sensitivity piece there with the right enough practice and the right rod and reel combo with line and such. So that was the worm weights. The other ones that we use a ton of are these the nail weights. Again, just looking at the quality of this thing, there are like zero burrs whatsoever. Everything is polished and refined. Every one of the nail weights that you get in the pack, it's always just like I said, just top line. They're meticulous in their manufacturing process. If you guy really wants to get tricky, you can actually take a pair of pliers and break off these things with enough force there, and that kind of creates a custom weight piece to you. Or if length is some of the issue that you're trying. Nako rig, I've got a wacky rig setup that I do with these. I'll share that video later. And then of course the drop shot line. You got your skinny here. Again, each one of these stamped with the actual weight size on there. Apologize again for the last time here for my focusing. Got the Nako name, got the weight on there. I know a big deal to a lot of guys is the chip resistant coating that we put on here. That helps prevent chipping. I really don't care about chipping pretty much. I just don't think it's that sensitive when it comes to presentation piece. But nevertheless, we do have that non-chip. A couple of the other things here, the wire gauge on here is really sound. It's a good strong wire gauge on the deal. Also, there's a free flow to it. There's no hang-ups on these things. When you spin them, you're not going to get line twist. This thing isn't going to get hung up. It can spin nice and free with its mounting piece. Same goes for the other drop shot, the teardrop setup here that we offer. Again, just good wiring, good swivel piece to it. Chip resistance, got the weight tied stamped on there, so you can see exactly what you're grabbing. I'm telling you, man, these guys are the real deal. Best price that you're going to find out there. Actual usable packs of weights. So when you buy them, you're not just getting 2 and 3 for $12 or whatever. You're getting 10 at an unbelievable price. Check them out yourself. I guarantee you're not going to be disappointed if you're using tungsten. If you haven't used tungsten yet, get using it. Get the lead out. It's conservation friendly, a little bit more earth friendly to the environments that we're fishing in. Plus, to be honest with you, it's going to make you a better angler. You're going to get much more sensitivity, a lot more feedback that you're going to get coming up through your gear there. So hopefully this is helpful to you, and you'll see at True Patriot Outfitters. You'll see our Nako line being displayed out there. So as you can see, man, these things, they're the real deal. Go check them out. We're going to be trying to obviously put them in some retailers around here, around Colorado. We'll be talking with a couple big chains with that. But also, like I said, we're going to have these at the True Patriot Outfitters and carry a supply on there. As sales increase, we'll just try to pick up our supply chain that we have on hand. Regardless, we can get anything that you're looking for, any amounts that you're looking for, we can get them for you and get them sent out to you as soon as possible. So give them a check. Nako weights, the price won't be beat. They'll beat anything out there. You're going to thank me after you get introduced to these guys. All right, guys, that pretty much does it right here. That wraps up our episode 1. Thank you so very much for following along this entire time. As always, you guys, we don't do any of this stuff without you. We're on the active look for more anchor sponsors. If you know of somebody out there who might be interested in working with us, partnering up so we can keep these support services going for the veterans and first responders, keep on the competitive trail, then absolutely send them our way. Or tell them to give this vlog a watch the podcast here and see if they like what they see. Any rate, guys, until next episode coming up in here in December, we're going to hopefully have a couple of interviews that we'll be hosting with there. Should be a lot of good content that we'll throw together. Again, if you have comments, suggestions, let us know. As always, guys, tight lines, be safe.